realized.
It doesn't even
It hasn't
feel
been
like
that long. It's been like what, a couple months?
It isn't.
Yeah.
No, like,
It's just.
like a couple months.
It's been since like April.
Yeah,
April.
Which is like you're lying, April.
Right.
No,
it was definitely
but
before finals.
yeah, it honestly.
Before finals. That's all you remember.
I mean, all I have to say is that I am incredibly blessed to have a community like this because y'all are pog champs in my heart. Because you know, it's one thing to make music. It's another. Okay, I've said this before on channel, but it's one thing to talk. And it's another to have people listen, right? To listen to what you're saying, and I feel like hopefully for all of you young uns out there who are like 5 years younger than me, and I've been playing piano for longer than you've been alive. not flex.
Very specific call out.
Yeah.
Like you've been playing piano for like the same amount of time I've been alive.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to hear any backtalk from you. Okay, I was for some of you, I've been playing piano before you were even a thought. So.
But they technically existed as eggs.
Oh my god.
But anyways, I hope right. I hope that you all come to a very similar resolution that when you play music, that you're trying to tell a story, that you're trying to communicate, that there is more than just like you're playing, right, or perfection or something like that. Because perfection can only take you so far. And this is coming again. Perhaps I'm biased because I'm a guy who has never, except for once in my life, been able to play a program perfectly the way that I wanted it to, or once or twice. But honestly, I think there's so much more beauty to striving for authenticity and for being who you are and being a musician that way and grinding and putting in the grind for that, to cultivate that, than to just become someone who's like mechanically perfect, right? And so that's something that, at the very least, if Watt Senpai can teach you anything, that's what I hope that I impart upon you. Yeah.
Question. I'm raising my hand. May I ask?
Yes, sir.
What do you like consider when you're choosing a piano teacher?
What do I consider when I'm choosing a piano teacher? So what do I consider? So right now for me, I consider. So I'll first answer for myself, and now I'll answer for you, right? Because I presume that you're at a level where you're still learning technique and stuff like that. So okay, I'm looking at this screen right now. I should move the camera over or something, but actually I'll just move this here. There it is, and then I'll change the monitor recording to.
Yeah, I've already played some Chopin etudes and stuff, and I did all my Czerny years ago. And
all your Czerny years ago and stuff like that. Okay.
Oh, the Czerny.
Okay, so you're probably like a little bit like around my level essentially, right? Or like probably a little bit worse, but like you're looking for similar things. And so I would say the thing that you're looking for, right, is the teacher's reputation and like how the teacher plays. Right. So listen to their students and their how they perform in their repertoire. Most teachers right nowadays will have like videos of their students on their website or whatever, and you want to listen to those and see if that kind of aligns with how you play as well. Right. A lot of teachers will also give like perhaps like an introduction lesson, right? That's like largely steeply discounted or like free even, right? And you want to see attend some of those to see if you vibe with the teacher, because at this point you're no longer looking for someone to teach you explicitly, right? Like how to play technically. You're looking for someone to coach you in your interpretation, to give you better ideas on how to practice certain things that you're stuck at, and basically just like you're it's like what does LeBron James look for in a basketball coach, right? There's no basketball coach that's better than him right now. So you're not necessarily looking for something like that, but you're looking for someone who's analytical and like smart about how to play, and that you agree with, right? That can work with you and help you achieve your goals, coach you to your end goals, right? And so the way we find that out, listen to the students, right? See how they work with their students and how their students turn out. And then also, if possible, listen to how the teacher plays, right? If you want to be like a concert pianist, right, or very, very professional, then hopefully you're choosing a teacher who has experience doing that. And even if they're old, right, they might have some CDs or recordings left, and you can go take a listen and see if you like how they play. And I think all these factor into choosing a teacher. So does that answer the question sufficiently?
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, always consider me. No, I'm kidding. TLDR.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Yes. Watt merch is proven to improve technique.
What do you think about going to like different teachers for different ideas?
Okay.
Seeing what's out there in terms of like schools of thought.
Yeah. So I think I think that certainly has benefits, but and so this is my opinion coming from someone who's never done that before, right? So again, biased. But personally, I think it's better to work with one person and to grow into one specific thing, right, than to continually dabble in many others, right? If you're doing many things, you can never excel at one thing. You're always going to be mediocre at several things. And so I would say, at first, when you're looking for a teacher, yeah, sure, dabble in a whole bunch to see which one actually fits you. But then after that, pick a teacher and stick with that teacher for a bit, right, and work through things. And then if you feel like, you know, there's some falling out, or if there's not much to learn, or you're not improving a lot, of course, evaluate yourself honestly, right? Because it could be your fault that you're not improving a lot too. But then at that point, then you can say, okay, maybe I want to try a different system, or I want to try something else, right? But I think it's far better to find teachers who, or to stick with a teacher specifically. Of course, I would recommend like a teacher who takes a slightly more holistic approach to playing piano than someone who's like very dogmatic about like one very single specific thing, right? Especially someone who takes a look at how the whole body functions as opposed to just the fingers, because you do get some of those types of teachers, but like at a very high level, like poor technique tends to weed itself out, right? You can't make it to tops if you play poorly.
Was very big on body.
Yeah, so that's always, you know, something that you want to look for. A teacher who, okay, so TLDR, again, right? But this is perhaps a little bit more practical. Look for a teacher who actually cares about the longevity of your playing too, right? And look for a teacher who's playing, and students playing that you enjoy and that you can see yourself wanting to grow towards. And then look for a teacher that you vibe well with, right? Because they're your coach and you want to cooperate with your coach well. Yeah. So.
Very true.
Coming from Fruit, who's going to get a performance major in piano. I see how it is. But, alright, I'm gonna go start talking through my playing. Just because, I feel like I need to think and just like decompress into it. Oh man. Crow Angel's Thesis. What do you guys think about that one? I thought it was pretty decent. I couldn't hit the octaves the way that I wanted to, like da-da-da-dum, right? But that's okay. It was like, I feel like it required like almost the way that I have it now, I need to be comfortable in order to hit them consistently. And since this was the first piece, I was very uncomfortable because I hadn't performed in a long time.
Yeah. Honestly, the interpretation made up for like any mistakes. It was really good.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah, really though.
Because
Well, obviously I did hear like some mistakes and stuff. But
yeah. Dang, if you go back, you're gonna hear all the
It really
mistakes.
doesn't matter.
Energy,
Yeah.
energy just compensates for that.
You know what
Yeah.
Beethoven said, right?
Yes. Better play with passion than play perfectly, or some paraphrasing of that. But yeah, I think I'm trying to think. Did I miss like anything that I wanted to like express? I think there were parts when some of the transitions were a little bit weaker. It was just like an interesting headspace to be in, because I think I've said this on stream before, but when I'm really nervous and when I'm performing, for the first like 30 seconds, my hands always get really tingly and I can't feel the keys. Today that didn't happen. But instead, my hands got really jittery, and I was like shaking like this, kind of probably not very noticeable, but like very noticeable to me. And that's why when I started off, the broken chords, right, they were less phrased than I wanted them to be, because I was literally just trying to control how my hands were shaking, and just by rolling my wrists. And also because I was still like trying to like brush off like mental fog because I wasn't used to the lighting, and that sort of lighting always like throws me for a loop, and I'm like, anyways. But yeah, that was fine. Crow Angel's Thesis. Okay. So the Moonlight Sonata, Moonlight Sonata is an interesting piece for me because whenever I play it, I can't ever feel I can't feel my pulse very well. I can't feel the tempo very well. I don't know why. But like when, for example, at the start, I feel the like those, right? But then once we get to the melodic section, I'll drop the tempo, but internally I feel like I'm still going at the same speed. And that's something that, like, if I'm dropping the tempo intentionally, then that's one thing. But if I'm dropping it and I don't realize, then that's another, right? And so I wonder if that happened this time. I can only assume that it did, because I didn't do like in tempo work. But that was the big thing that I was looking out for. even when I was listening to myself when I was like playing. But the first iteration wasn't great, but like the second one, after we hit the repeat, that was good. I was like, do I want to take the repeat and try that section again? I'm like, yes I do, because it's time for redemption, and redemption we got. Yeah, this is the redemption arc. This is literally how I treat all my repeats in Beethoven into sonatas. It's like, you know, when you see like a normal repeat, technically you should repeat, but like, you know, in practice people either take it or not. But when you see like a first ending, second ending, you're technically supposed to always take the first ending and then take the second ending because it's like different. But I was about to skip and I didn't skip, so I'm glad I didn't.
This is my chance now.
Yes. time to. They got us in the first half, you know.
It's a real deal now.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was good. I liked how it turned out the second time around. I ended up feeling like my articulation on the arpeggios was a lot better than even when I practiced. I felt like probably because I was going a tiny bit slower than the tempo that I was trying to hit. But the like a staccato feel, I think what felt better. But
I like the articulation a lot on that piece.
yeah, there were a few ones that felt like became a touch hard. Yeah. I think I'm also unique because I take it slower than most people. Like, let's just be real, right? Like, I take it slow.
Maybe, but like, there's like benefits of taking it slower.
Right. You know, when I first posted that video, which was my third video, I was like, wow, I'm like outing myself as a scrub because I can't play this in like tempo. But then, like, I'm like, you know what? There'll be other times to redeem myself, right? Like the Revolutionary Etude or like Blad, where I can actually play in tempo.
Worst case scenario, you have one video of having like your interpretation, the other video like just playing it fast.
Yeah, exactly. At the end, I was like, I'm playing at 180. Just watch me. Like, I too can be Valentina Lisitsa.
You're playing it at 180. Don't hit me.
Yeah. I'm not a scrub, I swear. But anyways, so that was the Beethoven. I thought the Beethoven got me comfortable because I'm comfortable performing Beethoven, you know. So it was like old times. I performed the Opus 2 number 2 a lot, or number 3 a lot, back in 9th and 10th grade, and like and in 11th grade, the 2 recitals that I played the whole sonata. And so Beethoven is very comfortable. In fact, my best performance to this day, I think, is still the 4th movement of Sonata Opus 2, number 3, but there's no recording of that because it was in a venue that disallowed recordings, which is really sad. But anyways. Next. Oh wow, people joining the call, or are they leaving? I literally can't tell.
No, they're
Both.
joining.
Both? Okay. Well, I don't have the chat open either. Oh, I'll just pull it on my phone say that I can at least say hi and bye.
Should I read the chat?
I can read it, Vinny. Don't worry.
Text 16.
Wait. Can you guys go on chill chat instead? Like, don't.
Yeah, chill chat is preferable because I'm scrolling chill chat. But anyways, next fiction, dude. Okay, so fiction was one of the hardest pieces for me to learn, because I've never played anything like this style before. And so none of the notes stuck in my head when I was trying to memorize it back in March. And so, but also, I think I've said this before, My Reminiscence, I think Fruit and I watched a My Reminiscence video when we streamed together. And it's like, it sometimes feels like the guy doesn't write for a human to play, right? And some of the chords in the opening, right, in the first verse, in the left hand with the big jumps, feel a little bit impossible, right? Unless you're like really, really good at playing the piano. And fortunately, I am pretty good at playing the piano, so the jumps turned out okay. But the other parts, I think, like some of the, I wanted to get a little bit more of the bounce in the first verse, right? Especially from the left hand, and it just didn't come out as much because I was too worried about the jumps. And I was like thinking about that when I started, and I shouldn't have been. I should have been focusing on the here and now, right? I think performing is interesting because you always need to. It's like half your mind. If you're not like in the zone, right? What the athletes call the zone when you're playing. If you're not in the zone, right, you're going to have to think about what you're doing to some extent, right? It's like, I would say you're in the zone, which is like you're one with the music type of thing, and then you are listening to yourself, and then you're thinking about your playing, right? And these are the tiers of like performing. At least that I've experienced that, you know, people I've talked to have experienced, right? And you get your best performances when you feel like you're one with the music. And as I've said before, that's Kosei and Kairi last episode, right? Ballad in G minor. There's literally nobody, they're not talking about the thoughts, right? It's just the camera panning around, and it's just a shot and them playing, right? And it's like, what's the implication? I think that one of the implications is that, you know, the music speaks for itself now, because he doesn't need to think about what he's trying to say, because he is what he's trying to say. You know, it's coming out right on the keys. And there's another level where it's like you're listening to yourself, and there's a third where you're thinking about what you're trying to say, and then the last one is you're thinking about the notes, right? And that's like a very wide range of thinking about the notes, right? You could be thinking somewhat about the notes, whatever, right? But any level of thinking requires you to both be present and also be future oriented, right? Even when you're listening to yourself, you need to be slightly thinking about what's coming up, right? What's the cues here? What are the cues there, right? And I should make a video on like how to perform and like memorize things. Yeah, not that I'm the greatest performer.
What's in the performance concert?
Yeah, what's in the performance? Woo! And of course, I'll get all the hate comments like, "Oh my gosh, the people you're reviewing are so much better than you." I'm like, yeah, that's true, but like, you know, they all edit their files and I don't. No, I'm kidding. Got him. No, I'm kidding.
Multi-universe guy.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like, you know, when you're playing a certain section, you want to be listening to yourself and what you're doing. But then you also need to be aware of certain points. Like, for example, there's certain, like I've said this before, railroad markers that I always have are like when the section changes, right? At the start of each section, I like, if I have enough time to practice, which I didn't this time, I will grind like literally the start of each section so that I can just jump there and start immediately. Right, I don't need to play into it. So I suppose this is less of a problem for people who play by ear, and for the likes of Fruit, who literally know the piece inside and out after like 5 minutes. But for your typical classical musician who has to memorize the score, right, and it depends a fair amount on like muscle memory, this is the best way to do it, right? Is to have So having railroad markers at different points, and being able to, or memorize the sheets, right? Or not necessarily like envision the sheets, but like memorize the notes in that sort of manner, which is different from someone who more intuitively feels it, right? And just almost like conjures up the chords as they go, right? Because they understand the progression well enough. Although certain classical musicians do that as well. I'm not one of those. I'm not at that level yet, right? So I still have to memorize, like, very much so. If I want to know a section, I need to memorize note by note, almost, right? I memorize the correlations between the notes, yeah, true. But like at some point, it starts with just memorizing note by note, and then it moves on to the correlations between the notes, and it doesn't come very intuitively to me. Otherwise, I'm just depending on muscle memory, and that's not very safe, right? And so having railroad markers like that for me, where I do know exactly what notes I'm supposed to be playing with which fingers, is very, very helpful, right? And so I will grind those a lot for each section. And just be able to jump to those. And those typically happen at either right before difficult sections, right after difficult sections, or at transitions. And those are also the points where I mentally flag to myself, hey, there's a section coming up that I need to think about the voicing, about the fingering, about whatever, right? And that's when I'll switch the brain back on from just listening, and then, you know, get back into thinking a little bit, and then go back to listening, right? And so this is the second level before you hit the top, right? And everything in between, down below. And so part of the problem with this performance is that I didn't have enough time to do any of that. And so that's why the memory was very unstable. It wasn't not even the fact that I make mistakes, because I will always make mistakes. Like one of the strengths that I have, I think after listening to lots of people play, not professionals, right, but like people who are like getting up there, especially through like studio recitals and like, you know, competitions and stuff like that, is that I can't play as perfectly as some of these people can, right? But when I make mistakes, I can keep going better than they can. And so I swim through my mistakes a lot better. And so that's literally what happened with this entire program. Like, I just swam through the mistakes.
You gotta put up the smile. You gotta put up the smile.
Yeah, you're like, I know I messed up, but like, you know what? We're having fun, right? We're just gonna keep going. And so that's precisely it. I used to not smile and used to just start sweating bullets and just be like, but like now I'm like, you know what? We're having a good time, right? Who cares? Except for all the haters. But
Okay, smile.
yeah, pain smile.
Okay, smile
I
emoji.
just
Yeah.
I just didn't realize people have to memorize memorized note by note until right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're a special one because you have perfect pitch, but and you know the rest of us.
I actually did not know that until right now. I'm like, wait.
Yeah. So this is how I've done it my whole life, right? So I mean, before I started doing it this way, before I also started incorporating these sections where I know the notes, I only did muscle memory, and then like until like 6th or 7th grade, and then you know playing Beethoven's Concerto in C minor number 3 is like you kind of forced to do it, and then playing the what did I play? I think it was 5th or 6th grade when I played Opus 2 number 1, the one in F minor, and that's when I really had to start like doing these. Yeah, exactly. And so with the transitions, like I messed up a whole bunch every time I performed it at one of the practice recitals that my teacher would do, and she's like, "You gotta do this." And since then, I've done it. Oh, and also there was one time I played. I've told the story on the stream before. When I was at an audition for a local competition for like the Music Teachers Association or something, right? And I played Bach's English Fugue number 2 in A minor in Prelude, and then I played Shostakovich Prelude and Fugue in A minor. And in the fugue for Shostakovich, I messed up so bad that I just completely stopped. Right, that was like the first time I stopped in years. And it was like a practice room type of audition, right? And there was like 2 judges, and they're just like sitting there, and they just like I just stopped, and I was like, what am I gonna do, right? And the old man was very nice, very kind. The old man and woman were very kind, and they just like said to me like, this is why we have railroad markers, spots that we can jump to when we mess up. And I'm like, noted. And he's like, you can start over. And so I started over. Yeah. And yeah, they were like, is there a spot that you can jump to? And I was like, holy crap, there's no spot except the start. And they're like, this is why. And I'm like, noted. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. But so getting back to the program, fiction was fun. And I think fiction can afford to be a little bit harsh because it's like very, you know, bouncy and jaunty and jovial in nature. And so I don't mind the fact that I didn't pound the keys a little bit towards the end, but they were borderline. Like I was coming down from above a lot. So at least based on how I felt. I'm not sure how it came out, but Etude, the revolutionary Etude, dude. I felt like I was on fire until I hit the last like left hand, and then I was like, wait, hold on, I just messed up. No, my revolutionary Etude. Yeah, it was actually so good. Because like so of course from a technical standpoint, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, from a musical standpoint too.
Span of like almost an hour.
Yeah.
What was that went by so quickly? I'm like, wait.
Yeah. This was I think I played this like faster than when I recorded it. I think I recorded around like 130 BPM, and at least in practice I got up to like 140. And today, like playing it, I felt like I could still go faster. I was just like a little bit stiff. Yeah, you never feel. Yeah. Yeah, I think for the first part of the etude, until literally the last left-hand run, I was like definitely, you know, in the right headspace. Like everything was going well. I felt like I was voicing the right hand well. I think I missed like some of the da-da-da-da-da-dum, right, for the right hand, but that's fine, right? Like that happens. It's kind of tough, especially when your hands are sweaty and sticking to the keys. Like I'm fine with that. But especially the middle section, right? So the middle section, my big problem is that I also lose the pulse there, right? So the left hand will be doing its runs, but I have to count my right hand separate, because I just can't feel my right hand with my left, right? Like in right, like that. And so, but this time, I think I missed like 2, or it was like very slightly off, but it was like actually decent, especially for not having played it or done tempo work in like 3 days, right? For it, I've only played it slow, because you know my wrists were shot, and so I was very happy with the etude, except for the ending, which is, you know. It is what it is, you know, it happens. Yeah. But, yeah. But anyways, dude, this mug, like, gathers all the condensation here, so then when I drink, it just, like, spills water onto my pants, and I'm like, why? But it's nice, because it's, like this, cold stuff, like, is, like, in the mug, right? So it doesn't dilute the drink. And so I'm like, it's a beer mug, so.
Mug analysis.
Yes, and Eagles, right? The local American football team.
Eagles.
E-A-G-L-E. Anyways, we won the Super Bowl like 3 years ago.
Washington football team.
Dude, the Eagles are the only sports team that I follow, so I don't want to hear it. And I only like kind of follow at that. I used to follow table tennis more too. When was it Wang Hao? If you guys know Wang Hao, the pen holder, used to play because I played pen hold too. And so he kind of like did the whole like reverse backhand thing, and so that's why I was like, yo, Wang Hao. And then it was like Shu Xin or whatever, who's still like very good now. Shu Xin and Ma Long, right? But like, you know, I don't watch that much anymore. Anyways, getting on to Watashi no Uso. Watashi no Uso was like actually I'm not sure how it turned out, right? And I say that because like I enjoyed how I played it, but then towards the end I was like, maybe I played it a little bit slow. Right, because one of my problems too in performing is that I take too much time on certain sections. Like one of the things that my teacher would always say to me, right, especially in the the first time we get the B theme in the ballad, like dum ba da dum, right, where it's like Metal Moso. Most people take that at like a ba da da da, right. It's a little bit slower than what the original theme is, which is I think at a moderato, but I take it really slow, right? Like I take it da, 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 right, like that.
More time
At the entry, I think it's fine to go slower.
Yeah, but I take the whole thing slow, so I don't want to hear it. And anyways, but that's how I play, right? But like one.
Also, I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the octave jump.
No, but I mean like the first time when it's like Metamoso, not necessarily just the octaves part, right? So the octaves part I'll take like more closer in tempo, but like the first time when it's just like the C F and then B flat in the left hand, I'll just pull up the headphones and play it here since I have it poorly routed in my system and so it doesn't go through correctly how I want it to. But it's like. Right, that section. Like, I'll play it a lot slower than a lot of other people. Oh, it's Halcyon!
So many people.
Hello, Halcy. I'm reviewing my performance, or my impressions of my performance, after this is... Yeah! This is the lecture after Waikis, right? It's always gotta be educational. Yeah, this is the real encore. But dude, thanks for stopping by. I'm sorry I missed yours, though. I was like up until 6, like shooting videos. And then I was like, there's no way I'm getting up for Halcyons.
It's fine, it's fine. Time zones be like, fine.
Yeah.
I actually set an alarm. I set an alarm for what key stream, but when I woke up at 9 o'clock, I was like, ugh.
Fair. Yeah.
I couldn't. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
No, it's all good. Yeah, you can watch it after. I've also seen like half your stream too, and
I also had to go like 30 minutes in the stream, so I'm just
dude, honestly no problem.
I'm just I want to say.
Yeah. Dude, one day it will be an actual venue and you cannot leave. No, I'm kidding.
Venue where the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. But you cannot leave. You cannot knees. Exactly.
Is the venue gonna be America or Hong Kong?
Oh, maybe it'll be a tour. No, I'm kidding.
One day maybe it will be some.
That way everyone can have an excuse to fly to Japan too.
Yeah, one day, Halcy and I will do a concert together.
Oh my gosh!
No, we'll see. Oh man.
Really well played the recital.
Thank you.
Ballad and encore.
Yeah.
If you tour to Japan, then Vinny and
Yeah,
John
I appreciate
and everyone
that.
else from Australia has an excuse to come.
I'm from Australia. What?
No. Some people.
There are a lot of Australians, like
Yeah.
Fair.
Sam.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah, but honestly, I think this was I suppose I've ranted about this at length already, but I'll say to Halcyon since he hasn't heard it yet. But it was an interesting stream, right? Because I think I felt very satisfied playing, but I also made more mistakes than I ever have, right, performing at all.
I really liked your ballad in the live stream just now compared to the previous video.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I think
was really good.
Yeah. I was on the ballad. I felt like I was balling out. I was like having such a good time, and then I hit the coda, and I was like, and I started, and I was like, wait, hold on, I can do this tempo in practice, but I can't do it right now because my arms starting to feel like jelly. and that's actually what happened. So, but everything else was like, wow. I think, you know, for the opening, right? Yeah, there was. I took more time, and I enjoyed that, right? And even the with the right, like that whole octave section, it felt like it took more time, right? And it was better. So, what a difference a few months can make.
Yeah, like the Blad, like you felt like it had so much momentum, like it just sounded great.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then Dakota. So let's go. Woo.
It did sound a bit different from like your recording of it, but like it was still really nice.
Yeah. And honestly, so this is literally okay. Since everything's an educational moment here for the people on this voice chat, because the only person older than me and probably played longer piano than me is Halcyon.
I couldn't play it that well.
It's all good. It's the experience and the time that counts. You just gotta say, I've been playing for like 20 years or whatever, and people are like, wow, sugoi.
Actually, how long have you been?
Meanwhile, like a 6-year-old play better than you.
Yeah, the child prodigies.
Like 9-year-old play like win to win.
Yeah, freaking yeah.
Okay.
And like something seems like all my years of hard work, and then this child.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, like, it's fascinating how pieces grow with you, right? And that's why I would encourage all of you, like even you don't always have to be practicing repertoire, right? You don't always have to be playing repertoire, but it's fun to every once in a while bring back an old piece, especially after you get to a certain level, right? Like perhaps you don't need to bring back your Bach minuet in G major, right? Or like something like that. But yeah, but
always the Bach minuet in G.
it is. But sometimes it is fun to go back, right, and to work a piece again, and just to see like how your ideas have changed. Yeah, literally, this is. I played the Blad, right? The Blad is the piece that put the least work in for this entire recital because it needed the least work. Because I played it so many times, it's just always on the back burner for me, right? And so it's like the way I played it today was as close to how I felt while playing it, like without like any preparation compared to the rest of the pieces. And so the differences are all a matter of like my ear changing over time and my preferences changing, and me growing as a artist, right, into something new, right? And that's why the mature quote unquote mature interpretations by Horowitz in his like later years differ so much from Horowitz when he's a young man, right? Why young Argerich sounds different from Argerich now, right? Despite them still being very technically proficient and playing very similarly. Like unlike Rubinstein, I guess Rubinstein who kind of decreased and played things very slowly towards his later years, like Beethoven's Fifth, right? Argerich still maintains a lot of that velocity, and it's quite interesting. But anyways, that's just a point. But
Basically,
yeah.
what you mean is you never finish learning a piece.
You literally never do. It's like so I have a few students now. Actually, most of my students are anti-pianists and are open to learning classical. So are any of them in this call that I'm referring to? Hayden's the exception because he's good enough that he didn't need this. But most of them who show up and need a lot of remedial work. So Pure Water. There we go. Pure Water. I don't mean to call you out, but like honestly, this is like it's quite impressive, like how much you can learn out of a single piece like this. But like, I start most of my students on Hanon to learn like this like sort of finger motion again because we have to train it out. Yeah, but
a thing in Hong Kong.
yeah. Okay, chill, fam, chill. But also cool out Sonatina in C, which I've talked about at length before, right? And I set right on stream.
Yeah.
But like, it's just because it's like, yeah, because it's basic and you can hear the phrasing very well, and you apply a lot of like the beginner hand and stuff, and you even working the scales, right? And it's a little bit more interesting, I think. I think Mozart K545. So anyways, yeah, I said it. No, but like it's like even now when I go back to play that, like of course it's a lot more fluent and it sounds a lot better than when I played it when I was 6, right, or 7. But it's also interesting because I picked it up every once in a while in like middle school just to read through it, just to see how it is, and it feels different from how I played it back then. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting, even looking at beginner pieces. Like Kovalevsky's pieces for children, I haven't played those since I was a kid. But sometimes I'll just sit down and sight read the entire book and just like actually see what Kovalevsky was going for, because as a kid I couldn't play it, right, in tempo. Yeah. It's like, it's called The Clown, and it actually sounds like kind of funny. Like, come on, like, okay.
Come on, why wasn't I able to play it back then?
Yeah.
But yeah, you just improved a lot.
Yeah. So, TLDR.
Eat ice.
Oh man, I remember hating Kovalevsky.
Kovalevsky, not Pog. Kovalevsky, Clementi, your Kulaus, and then your Bach inventions and stuff like that, and Symphonias. Yeah, I play so much Bach, guys. But anyways, let's talk about... Did I even finish talking about Watashi no Uso? I think Halcyon popped on it, and we talked about the Blab instead. Yeah.
Oh, you did finish.
Yeah, I started Watashi no Uso. I think I... so my impression of it... Wow, I feel like I'm turning red. Yeah, I get the Asian flush pretty bad, so... but for all you Asians out there who can relate... Anyways, Watashi no Uso, after I finished playing, I felt like I enjoyed listening to myself play, but I also felt like it could have been too slow. So I don't know what you guys felt after Watashi no Uso. I was a little bit like, you know, when I made the octave jump and I hit the wrong note, it was because my eyes were closed and I opened them for the last second when I realized that I wasn't going to hit the right note if I didn't look, and I hit the wrong note. So...
Nah, you're just spicing it up, you know?
Yeah, this is jazz. Yeah. This is a jazz arrangement.
Improv.
Yeah, improv. But yeah, I think I enjoyed this Watashi no Uso a lot more than how I recorded it too. Simply because I took a lot more time and like breathed a lot more. Whereas that one felt like the tempo was a little bit more consistent. So, Watashi no Uso, big pog. Alright, next. Love Sorrow. So Love Sorrow. Where did I mess up? It was.
I love the first thing you bring up is where did I mess up?
No. Because no. This is relevant because I was thinking about another spot that I have messed up at before, and because I was thinking about that spot, I messed up at the spot that I did. This is
feeling.
Yeah. This is precisely the you gotta be in the moment, but also like think ahead a little. But it's the I think it was the second time with the theme, right? Or whatever, right? And so I always mess up what was it? Wait. Guys, help.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
Oh shoot. Let me. Oh no. That's okay. The second reprise of the theme, right, where there's like more bass heaviness, right? Bum, bum, bum. So the part where it jumps into the upper register, that's where I always mess up. Bum, 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 bum. And so I think I was thinking about that, and so I messed up the part right before, and so I transitioned to do it poorly. And I also forgot what notes I was supposed to play because I hadn't practiced that enough, like thinking consciously about the notes. So, but overall, I think my interpretation now feels a lot more comfortable than the recording that I did like a month ago or a month and a half ago. And so I have half a mind to re-record because now I use less pedal. I don't think it's significantly less pedal, but it is less pedal. I play it slightly faster, and I think the middle section, the first time the A major section comes up with the triplets, sounds a lot better too. And so I have half a mind to re-record. Also, my wrists weren't shot from playing the wrong note etude because that I talked about that before. So yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how what people thought of Love Sorrow. Because I feel like that's one of the more variable ones because a lot of people know what it sounds like, right? Especially people who watch this YouTube channel. People know what Love Sorrow is supposed to sound like, and they know what Tiffany Poon's Love Sorrow sounds like. So.
Love Sorrow is actually one of my favorite pieces.
Oh shoot! That just puts more pressure. I suppose I'll pop the question. Did I do it justice?
Well,
did you enjoy how I played?
There's not really any need to feel bad about it because I have the sheet music for it. I tried playing that A major part and it sucks. I have no idea.
It's like one of the things that's like harder than it looks, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's literally like playing all Beethoven and all Mozart, right? You can sit down and sight read it consistently at like a medium slow tempo, but then once you kick it up to like the actual tempo it is supposed to be in, it's like so hard to play like actually like clean and precise, right? And so I'm like working on the Kreutzer now with some of my friends, one of my friends, right? So Violin Concerto Opus 9, right? Is it? No. What's the opus number? I forget. Anyways, so we're working on the Kreutzer. Violin Concerto number 9, there we go. And like it's relatively easy to play at like low tempo, right? But then you listen to the tempo of like Heifetz's recording, right? And you're like, that's not easy at all. What the heck? So yeah, but Love Sorrow. Hopefully, I actually that's one of the ones that I really hope that people enjoyed, and that was also one of the ones that I was less comfortable with, like significantly less comfortable with. I like almost didn't even want to put it on the program because I was so uncomfortable with it. But like people, when I put out that poll like 3 months ago, wanted it, so I put it on. But I don't know. This is the point where I asked for audience response. Like, did you actually enjoy my Love Sorrow or did you not?
Yeah. Yeah, listening to it right now, actually.
Dope. All right. Yeah. All right. Next, To the Beginning. Honestly, I think this was the strongest piece, or one of the strongest pieces of the night. I think To the Beginning is like it's like one of the Animus' easier arrangements, right? Because it's like more straightforward chords and stuff like that. But there's just like so much. I feel like I get like caught up in the music every single time I play it. So To the Beginning, not much to say. Yeah, I had a really good time playing it. And I hope that was evident.
Like I think out of the whole program, this one seemed like the one where you just really got into the zone for.
Yeah. This one it's like the combination of it being comfortable, and also being like very fun, because Fate Zero is I didn't say it during the stream, but Fate Zero is one of my favorite shows. So, and I just love thinking about the characters and how Kiritsugu just feels like a tragic hero, right? It is a tragic hero in a lot of senses, and anyways, and so I feel that in this song a lot. The Nocturne. The Nocturne.
I had to listen to that one.
Yeah.
I listened up to Love Sorrow because whenever I see people like playing good music, I always get this uncontrollable need to go practice.
Got you. 40 hours a day.
40 hours a day. You practice 39, not enough, needs to be at least 40.
Yeah, I should be practicing right now. But yeah, the Nocturne I think was probably honestly, I feel like the Nocturne was the weakest piece. Not because it sounded bad, but because after being in the zone for To the Beginning, I was like out of the zone for the Nocturne. Like To the Beginning was like all my energy and focus and the last of my like physical like capability, right, and my strength. And then like the Nocturne was just like, I was like, I need to relax, I need to recuperate, because actually this is also another performance point. So I played Ravel's Toccata from one of the suites, I forget which one, but it starts with like a lot of E's, like something like that, and so it's like very fast, and it's and I performed that, and that was.
Are you sure that's not a sacrilegious piece?
No. No, anyways, but I submitted it for both for my college, right, as like bonus, as like content for like, I play piano and this is something that I want, and I also performed it a few times, I think. And so one of the things that you have to do with a piece like that, because it's like 5 minutes of literally playing that quickly, right, and like all these like sort of jumps, right, is every time there's a pianissimo, you gotta just like glide on the keys and not use your fingers at all, and not use any, and it's just like you're kind of like brushing the keys in order to recover, right? And so that was the mentality that I had going into the Nocturne, right? So you it's like thinking about recovery within the piece itself to maintain stamina, but also thinking about recovery throughout the entire program, right? Which is why my program is structured the way that it is. Why some of the anime pieces are slower after, like after Moonlight Sonata, I have Fiction, which is slower, right? Watashi no Uso comes after the Revolutionary Etude, so that I have time to recover. and why also I think second movements in sonatas are slower too. But yeah, that's just a conjecture, or part of the reason, I suppose. For the Nocturne, I relaxed too much, and so as a result, literally by the time I think I messed up in the first iteration of the theme, and so like literally the moment when I realized I was about to mess up, I was like, why am I not thinking, or even listening to myself play? And so it was after that I was like, okay, now I gotta really feel the music, and so I did like, what was it? I think into the third time the theme plays. After the first time the B section comes up, da, da, or whatever, I realized that I was playing at a very consistent tempo, right? I had none of the rubatos that I was practicing, and I had none of the breathing that I was practicing either, and I was like, oh no. And that's why I feel like the Nocturne was the worst piece, or one of the worst pieces. Yeah, it was definitely the worst piece, I think. So moving on though. Oh, Taminoto Chu! Man, the last chorus though. Oh my gosh, I felt that one. I think to the beginning I felt the entire piece. I was like in it, but then Taminoto Chu, I was in it the most for that last chorus, and then for the coda, I just like completely slipped. But yeah, Taminoto Chu was very nice. I think the way that I felt playing the first verse, I felt a little. Actually, I think I was beginning to feel the fatigue, right? Because like da 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 dum, ba da 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 dum, like those weren't phrased as well as I wanted them to, and especially the next part of that verse, like da 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 ba da. The way that I want it to come out is I want the melody to kind of just like melt out. So like the first da 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 da, like very delicate pianissimo, and it felt like my hand just couldn't do like such minute movements like this with flat fingers. And I was like, oh no.
Hands commit die.
Yeah. Like I could like still do the big things, right? Because I could put my body into it, which is why the last chorus was good. Dum, ba, da, da, dum, dum, right? But then like all the smaller things that require a little bit more dexterity, like I couldn't. So yeah, but I think Taminoto Chu was one of the stronger pieces today too, and I felt that a lot too. Despite it being probably the first or second worst memorized piece on the program. So yeah. Oh, here we go, Ballad in G. Oh, we talked about Ballad in G. I don't need to reiterate my points. It was a good time.
For the Ballad, we were sitting in the voice chat, and Adam unmutes and was like, what the hell was that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, like after it ended.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Adam say?
No, Adam was like, what the hell was that? That was amazing.
Adam like nowhere.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but I know the Ballad, so I feel like now that I know like which pieces are things that a lot of people listen to, I feel a little bit more hesitant to play them, right? And the Ballad, I think out of all the ones here, carry the most, at least classically, carry the most emotional weight for people who watch my channel, because it's, the last thing Kosei plays in Your Lie in April. It's either Ballad or like Love Sorrow, and even though more people know the Moonlight Sonata, it's not as like emotionally weighty. It's just like, oh, that fast piece that some pianist plays. Yeah, it's like okay, cool. But the Ballad, a lot of people are like, I want to play the Ballad. A lot of people are like, I have my favorite interpretation. I like Zimmerman's. I like Josh Wright's. Yeah, everyone's super invested in the Ballad. And so I was almost like low-key like for the first time, I was like, do I want to play the Ballad? Even though every other time I'm like, I'm playing the Ballad, right? Because I love the Ballad too. And I'll say I loved it before I knew it was popular, because my teacher was just like, play this, and I was like, okay. But
it's been popular for centuries now.
Yeah, it has.
Hans and Schumann's favorite piece.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, I remember seeing something about Chopin saying it was one of his favorite melodies that he created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did not know that.
I did not know that either.
He liked it himself.
Yeah. I know.
Wanting to burn his fantasy in problems. Like that.
But yeah, you know, as I said, right? Like growing up, I didn't listen to much music. Right, I just listened to what I practiced, and so I have no idea what's popular. All I knew was that Hungarian Rhapsody #2 was really hard, and then a lot of people think that it's like the hardest thing ever. And I was like, I want to play that someday. And then I played it, and I'm like, I guess I played the hardest thing ever, and now I don't care anymore. So yeah, and now it's like everyone's like, wow, Watt's like amazing because he played the Ballad. When I think there are lots of harder pieces too, right, than the Ballad, but Ballad definitely is quite difficult. And I was thinking, actually, yeah, exactly. But like even today, one of the things that I was thinking about is, so I played through an entire program at like slow tempo today, right, around like, you know, a few hours before, just to make sure that it's still like going. But you know, playing through the Ballad, I'm like, if I have to think about all these things, it is consistent. Like the amount that you have to think and things that you have to pay attention to are like very consistent, and it's like for like 5 minutes straight you have to think about these things. Like you can slow down at the when it like drops to metamoso or like the melody comes up, right? But starting with the octave section, like da 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 da, you're just always like thinking, and your hands have to always be moving. And I was like, dang, this is a little bit harder than I thought it was. Not that it became harder for me because I thought that, but it was like, I can see why it's like very difficult for people, and why it was hard for me back in the day when I was learning it. But the Ballad was good. Atashi ga tonari ni iru uchi ni. Oh my gosh, I was feeling good until I got to the runs.
Stamina be like.
Yeah.
I'm a head out.
Yeah, it was literally that. My hand was like, I'm a head out, and on top of that, like, not only did I realize, like, in that moment when I was like, oh, my hand is dead, I realized also that I don't know what the next note is in my left hand. And so I hit the wrong note in my left hand, and I hit the wrong note in my right hand because it couldn't keep going. And so I was like, what do I do? And I also didn't practice this railroad marker enough. Although, so this was one of the better railroad markers because I practiced it. This is where I start the practice for the runs, right, at the beginning of the runs. And so I was like, I remember it's like a F sharp minor chord, and so we're just gonna hit an F sharp minor chord first inversion and see what happens. I hit it like twice, right, which is why I restarted twice. And then I was like, oh, we're back in. And then I just did the, you know, think about something completely random and let the fingers go, and then it worked. And so I'm like, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, honestly, like, there have been times where I'm like, I'm about to mess up, and I'm like, actually, my teacher said this in one of the studio recitals that she did, practice recitals, to another student who's around my age, and he just couldn't get past a section. And she's like, okay, think about something completely random, like a book that you were reading like yesterday, or like walking through the park or something. And he played it, and she's like, yeah, sometimes you just gotta do that, right? If you panic, and you just gotta let the muscle memory do it, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that too. Doesn't pay attention for all of the nocturne and then messes up, you know. But it is how it is.
The thing about that, though, like when you're thinking about something completely random, you just kind of like blank out, and then you don't hear yourself. But you just
yeah.
get through
So
it,
so that's why I think it only why I would only recommend it if you know the piece very well, right? Especially muscle memory wise, right? You know the piece very well intellectually, and you know it well in your hands. And in that moment, as you're performing, right, you just panic. Then it's time to shut your mind off and think of something completely random and just let your practice take over, right? It's a remedial thing that comes up when you hit that moment of panic, because that moment of panic doesn't happen as you're playing the note. It happens like a few measures before, or like a few notes before, right? And when you feel that, it's time, right? Like think of those like flowers in the field or something. the latest show that you watched.
It's like sometimes like you overthink about like the notes, like the runs itself, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's so weird. At least for me, when I'm performing, like I never like when I'm practicing, I can't force myself to try to think about the notes, but I'll never think about the notes the way that I do when I'm actually playing.
Yeah.
That's like a completely different experience for
Exactly. Yeah.
I never think about the notes and runs when I play for real.
Yeah.
It's all about how it feels in your hands.
Yeah. And that's like very muscle memory, right?
Runs are always like that.
Muscle memory, also good posture.
Yeah, muscle memory. Well, I think muscle memory encapsulates a bit of posture as well, right? and stuff like that.
But good posture always helps.
Yeah, precisely. Excuse me. I think Anik in her video about memorizing, right, with muscle memory, talks about this as well. And she's like, it's not just how your fingering that you use; it's also how you're sitting, it's how you're moving your body. And honestly, that's something that I never like really considered and like put words to before, but it's like very true. In a performance, one of the things that I'll find myself doing, as opposed to when practicing, because practicing I'll be like focused and thinking about the notes, right, or thinking about what I'm doing and listening very closely, is I find myself looking off to my left, right. I always look to my left because to the right is where the audience is sitting, so I always look to my left. Or when I tilt my head to hear, like when I'm putting my right ear closer to the keys to hear what I'm doing, or my ear closer, I always turn to the left, right. And I rarely do that during practice, but I'll do that during performing because I'm not paying attention as much and I subconsciously do it. And then there are times when I've done that and I'm like, what am I looking at? and then I'm like, oh no. So now I try to incorporate that a little bit more into my practice as well. But like for closing my eyes, that's something that I rarely do in practice. If I have enough time to practice, I'll practice while closing my eyes and just like, play through and enjoy what I'm playing and try to perform. But for this program, I didn't have time to do that. So like as I was trying to enjoy and listen to myself play, right? You probably saw me closing my eyes several times while playing, hopefully. That was like the first time that I played like that since I've recorded, at least for some of these pieces. And so it was like, there were moments where I'm like enjoying, and then all of a sudden the head, the mind just like snaps in and is like, hey, next note. And I'm like, that's why I missed a note in Watashi no Uso and stuff like that. So, but finishing with Watashi ga Tonari ni Uru Uchi ni, Hero ED2. Honestly, I'm happy with how the left hand runs turned out at the end. It was pretty dope. Because my left hand was significantly less tired than my right hand. Because they had recovered since the Revolutionary Etude, whereas my right hand hadn't had much rest since. So it was a lot better than my recording too. But yeah, I think the bridge was definitely worse, and I was definitely mentally like scrambling a lot more for the memory for this entire piece, like throughout the entirety of this piece. Even starting off, I couldn't hear the notes very well in my head, like the the A major chord, or add 9, or add 2, I suppose is the proper one, because I don't know the inversion. But I was scrambling in my head to remember what the notes were, right, and like just trying to hear at all what I was playing before I played it, and I just like couldn't, and so it was really tough. That was when he knew his stamina was gone. And that's why I also stalled for so long before I got into this game. Yeah, exactly. I should have played Bakami Tai, but
That's why I was like unravel what arrangements.
Yeah. Unravel what arrangement.
Imagine if you played that for your encore.
Yeah, that's my encore. Unravel my arrangement, and I start singing Unravel.
I know, you gotta start with the intro of Unravel, then you screw up, and then you transition into Bakami Tai.
Exactly. I need to learn like a company version of like Bakami Tai so that I can sing along with it. Next stream. Oh, did Watt just forget to turn off his mic? No, it was intentional. You just watch. But honestly, this game, the only disappointing thing about this game was that the fact that the performance didn't show the practice because I was too tired to show the practice that went into this game. Right? That's the only disappointing thing. I feel like I did it as well as I could.
Kind of tell, so.
Yeah, but at the very least, I hope that I looked like I have had fun, because I did have fun.
Smiles.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm messing up, but it's a good time.
This is all part of my master plan.
Yeah, exactly. If he looks like he's having fun, how could he not be playing correctly? This is all intentional. But yeah, I was surprised actually in the chorus, the first chorus, the left hand actually turned out okay. And I was expecting that to go, but it didn't go. But then it went in the bridge, and I was like, okay. But actually, it was so funny. Like immediately after I played it, so in the bridge, that part, those arpeggios are really hard to hit because of the jump, right? So you listen to my cover, and you listen to Halcyon's cover, and literally anyone else's cover, even Adamens's new cover, like he misses like the B minor chord or B minor arpeggio, even by a tiny bit, right? And I always miss the B minor one, which is what everyone misses, right? But I did it. I'm like, I miss everything else, but I like nailed this one like 95%. Are you kidding me? Like, okay.
I'll take it.
Yeah, like, okay. Dumb. But also, yeah, I tried, you know, at first when I picked this up 2 weeks ago, to start to try to incorporate some of Adamens's new arrangement into it, especially the second verse, because I liked the pre-chorus in the second verse a lot more in his new one, but I just didn't have time to memorize that and also everything else that I was relearning. So I was like, I'll be content with a few more passing notes like da 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 instead of, you know, just skipping those. And also the last, the outro Dakota, instead of, you know. But anyways, that was. I can't believe I actually did that though. That was pretty dope. I need to maintain my repertoire a little bit more and maybe play this program some other time, or you know, switch it up a little, but like maintain the stamina simply because I haven't done that for a performance like this. So anyways.
But hey, you pulled it off.
Yes, I did.
Pull it off. And it was good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you for also coming to my post-performance lecture analysis. Yeah, of how I did.
Party.
Yeah, the after party, literally.
I also definitely had way too much fun with the song captions.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I rewatched it. Like I was watching it, and I see like, what is this caption?
I only noticed the captions. Yeah. I saw. Yeah.
I'm like, wait, are the mods doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, no, it was 100% just me.
Yeah.
Someone else could do it next time. I just figured it probably wouldn't do well if multiple people tried updating it at the same time. So I was just like, let's just leave it for one person.
Yeah.
Someone else wants it, go for it.
Yeah. It said Merp, I knew it was John.
Yeah. John does the merps, right? At first I was like, who's doing this? Like, which is it Keanu or is it John? And then I'm like, Keanu sometimes, you know, I can see him doing it, but like John's also a big troll, and I saw the merp, and I was like, it's John. Yeah, the performances are quite accurate though. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, honestly, I don't know, you know, like it's always, I think, and perhaps with Fonzie I always talk about like the business side of YouTube, and I do that like more rarely with, you know, when it's like a voice chat of this size, although I've never had a voice chat of this size, you know, just people listening to me talk. But you know, from a very practical standpoint, it is always a little bit discouraging to, you know, and perhaps Halcyon can speak to this too, and see how little you make off of putting in so much effort, right, to learn a piece, maybe to arrange a piece, for all of you who are arrangers and play your own music too, right? How much time it goes into something like that, and then like also for those of you who make music videos or make videos, right? How much time it goes into editing one of those, right? For people to do synthesia, how long it takes to render. For me, how long it takes for me to like just parse through what I'm saying, because I say a lot of stupid things and I need to cut all those out and make my videos, right? But it's like, yeah, but it's like all the return for those monetarily is always very, very low, right? And if you're like, for especially I suppose for myself, as I'm looking forward towards my future, not knowing exactly what I want to do, but knowing that I definitely want to do something music related, and seeing YouTube as a possible venue is a little bit discouraging, honestly, right? Because it's like, how much longer will it take, or what else do I need to do, or what other creative thing do I need to come up with in order to turn this into something that can actually pay my bills one day, when my parents kick me out of their house, because I need to grow up, because I'm not going to be a college student forever, right? Which makes sense. This is all part of life. And so it's like, again, always a little bit discouraging to see that, but it's always incredibly encouraging to see you guys, show up in the comment section, just even like responding to some of the things that I play, and perhaps I don't expect all of you to always agree with how I interpret a piece, right? And I don't think you guys do, right? But I much more appreciate the fact that you take the time to at least listen and to think about what I thought about in trying to play the piece, and at least you appreciate and respect that I put in that sort of thought, and you can disagree respectfully there, right? And I will respectfully disagree with you as well, or maybe agree because maybe I did it poorly. But it's always very encouraging to see that, and it's always very encouraging too to see comments and you guys show up and ask questions and to just express at all like how much my videos help you with learning music, because that's something that I didn't expect to happen. I didn't expect to be able to actually help people. Honestly, when I asked a question yesterday on my community post, like who do you look up to, I was not expecting to get any responses that said me, right? Like that, I didn't ask that as a move to be like, wow, puff up my ego. I wanted to know who people looked up to because I wanted to know what videos I should review, right? That was the ulterior motive. Yeah, so now the ulterior motive is coming out, but also because I wanted to find like different artists to listen to, perhaps ones that I hadn't given enough thought to, just so that I can see what people are listening to and like what styles of playing people will look up to, right? And of course I saw the Horowitzes, I saw Winter with the Ashkenazi. I haven't listened to Ashkenazi in so long. But then like the people that said what keys, me, it's like, what? You look up to me? Yeah. Yeah, what's up with that? What have I done, And so it's like, what? Honestly, it's really flattering, it's really encouraging, and I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that, I hope that for all those who look up to me, that you look up to me not only for how well I play, but for my authenticity and the way that I approach music. Because I can guarantee you, I am posting videos where I play very poorly, i.e. wrong note etude, so... No, I'm kidding. But those videos are going to come because I want to put those out. I want to show you me when I mess up. And so if you're only here for the perfection, which I don't think that you are, right? That's a bubble that's rapidly collapsing. But anyways, I really appreciate all you guys. Yeah, rapidly collapsing.
If we were here for perfection, we wouldn't be here.
Yes, exactly. I think it's fascinating to listen to professional recordings, but it's also more fascinating to listen to actual live recordings too. Oh my gosh, I was listening to Rubinstein's Livestreams number 3. Him just sitting down, right? I think the best recording of that is there's an intro. His friend sitting on a couch, and he says, your favorite record of mine, my favorite record of yours is Livestreams number 3, but I've listened to so many times that now there's a scratch in the groove, right? Because it's vinyl and stuff like that. And then Rubinstein's like, okay, Livestreams without scratch, and then he plays Livestreams. And I'm like, dang.
I remember watching that video.
Yeah, it's just like such a homie moment, like such a bro moment. But it's like, I think like I don't know if that was staged or not, right? Or if that was like a legitimate thing. Probably both, right? It seemed like a talk show type of thing. But that's like, I want to be able to do that with all you guys. It's like, you guys enjoy listening to what I have to say, and I want to play for you guys, and I want to tell you what I have to say through my music, and I also want to hear what you guys have to say too. And I hope that I can teach you even a tiny bit of how to get there, so you're able to communicate more clearly and say what you want to say through your music. And with that, I think it's time for me to eat out this voice chat, because I want to eat something like ramen, some instant ramen, because I'm a little bit hungry.
Ramen DC question mark?
Yeah, ramen DC.
I just had noodles actually. So.
Yeah, but anyways,
That's the coffee stream never.
Ramen stream, instant ramen stream coming soon.
Oh my god.
Nah, I missed it.
Different types of foods and drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Each of those has a potential for a stream.
What's
Yeah.
now a mukbang channel?
The transition, just straight transition into mukbang and gaming. But mukbang gaming, there we go. But anyways, I will now eat off. I may come back later, but just to hang out in voice chat as I usually do. But I suppose this ends the lecture. This ends the stream after the stream, the actual ending of the stream. The real encore. Yeah. Y'all thought this game was the encore? Yeah, you haven't seen the lecture ad that comes after, so. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all around.
Alright, see ya.
Hey, see you later. Congratulations on 10K.
Bye.
Yes, thank you.
Congrats.
Goodbye.
You know what?
Yeah.